This works. I hope you can see me okay. Thank you, Randy. I was gifted a tripod for a cell phone. So, yay. Makes the video so much easier. Alright, I'm going to talk about self-love and my self-love journey. I've been wanting to talk about this for a really long time, but if you know me, and I'm that Virgo and perfectionistic tendency, and never being good enough to talk about something until you've mastered it, well, I think I've mastered it, so I'm going to attempt talking about it. What makes me an expert in this topic? Well, for those of you who know astrology, I brought up the Virgo. I have 3 planets there, and then Pisces on the ascendant. So if you know what's up about that, Pisces and Virgos are the most abused people on the planet. We get it from everyone, and we're usually, you know, we dedicate ourselves to service. So we're the ones that usually say like, okay, we volunteer to be everybody's doormats. Well, so, yeah, I have a long history in self-love and trying to learn self-love. And there's been many times in my life where I thought self-love, or what was taught to me was self-love, which I've brought up in some videos in my healing my personal trauma journey, but just to throw out a little example, a gluttony. People think that if they are indulging or overindulging, that is an indicator of self-love. And is it really? Well, when you're dying of diabetes and heart attacks and this and that, how much did you actually love yourself? So I'm going to talk about that in this video. Most people hate it when I talk self-love. Why? I am matter of fact, but I've learned it the hard way. For those of you who don't know my background, I was not born into love. I had to learn this topic the hard way, and we're talking 45 years. So, yeah, I'm going to talk to you about what it is, what it isn't, what it might look like, and what it definitely doesn't look like. I am sorry to offend you, but that's what cracks me up. So, when I talk about this stuff, especially in Facebook groups, people get mad at me for getting to the core issue, which is fear and lack of self-love. So instead of going out and loving themselves, they want to beat me up or call me names. And so hear me out. Maybe I'm not as good texting, and you know, maybe it's not about that, because most people don't want to heal, and that's one thing that people don't like to hear, and it's the truth. And hear me out, because it's tied in to the whole self-love topic. How could you say I don't want to heal, Christie? That's horrible. That's just so mean and judgmental and patriarchal of you. Well, what are you doing to help yourself? I have the best doctor in the world. I've been going to all the top specialists for 20 years. And I take the pills and, as we're gulping down a soda, sitting watching frickin' Netflix or something all day with your sedentary lifestyle, with the job you hate and the relationships you hate. That's what self-love looks like, huh? All right. So, what would self-love look like? Certainly wouldn't be arguing with me about what it is. And I get that society does not promote self-love. Self-hate is promoted everywhere, okay? And I'm a woman, so I'm going to focus more on female issues because this is what I'm an expert on, because I live it. So, for women, we fucking suck, right? Every single thing about us. Our hair sucks, we need all these products. Our skin sucks, we need all these products. God put hair on our body, like in our armpits and our legs and our private areas, and yep, we got to take that away. And then if, you know, and of course we stink, so we have to use their chemical products, and, you know, we're just not curvy enough, so we need to get corsets, or, God, what are those things I used to wear? The suck them in and push it up thing. And then, oh yeah, you could buy these underwear with like fake hips, or, you know, make them bigger. Because, you know, you just fucking suck. You're just not good enough. And I get it's almost impossible to learn self-love in a world that promotes self-hate and shame, right? We're just not ever good enough. So even people who are not traumatized to the degree that I was is still traumatized with the exact same shame. And, you know, you're not good enough, right? Everywhere on TV, magazines, etc. They're not even real people, dude. They're like freaking... Okay. So, well, I'll talk about that because I was a model. But anyways, they're not real people. They're photoshopped, blah, blah, blah. Okay? So we're comparing ourselves to these ideals, or society is, or... Right? And so we just grow up thinking we're not good enough. And when we're not good enough, it's easy to accept things that aren't good enough. Right? And, you know, like one of those phrases, a catchphrase, people will say, well, you can't have everything. Why not? Just because you choose to settle, why do you think that means I should? No, nah, dude, I'll hold out. Thank you very much. So, what self-love looks like, or doesn't look like, I'll ask you a few questions. If somebody that loves themselves, well, let's get back to the person with the specialists and the doctors and all the this, that. What are you doing for yourself? Well, that's what I'm doing. Okay, but after 20 years... you haven't thought of trying something different? That's not very loving. And I understand because I grew up sick. I was always in and out of the hospitals, on every freaking drug, forced drug, just everything. And I really, I thought, wow, I'm just on this earth to just be sick and suffer and be miserable and die. And, you know, so I guess my mom taught me if I would sneak a cookie, you know, that was self-love, right? Because I'm going to do something for myself that she told me I couldn't do. So, but that led to life, a series of not a lot of successful relationships. However, I'll ask you honestly, look at yourself in your relationships or the relationships of those around you, and how many of them are deeply fulfilling, equally yoked? Very small percentage. In fact, the percentage is so small we can probably count it on one hand. Why? Self-love. Lack of self-love. Okay. So, if we loved ourselves, would we stay in relationships that harm us? Whether it's narcissistic abuse or, whatever the reason is, or just a straight up loveless relationship. Yeah, he's nice, but there's something missing. Well, if you loved yourself, you'd find that something missing. Or you'd find out what you're not doing to avoid, you know, what kind of intimacy issues or whatever you might have. But it's not always that, you know, and that gets to the society of self-blame, right? Oh, well, what are you doing wrong? Well, maybe you're not doing anything wrong. And maybe you're just not right for each other, right? I have friends. Oh, one of my sweet friends. Best friend and best relationship. We're just not right for each other that way. We didn't abuse each other. We had a great time. And we even said straight off, look, promise, you know, let's make a promise it's always going to be like this. You know, we don't want to be like those people sitting over there. And if we ever feel like that, you know, we need to part ways like this. And Well, again, that's self-love. A lot of people think that self-love is, say, staying in an unhealthy relationship because you're going to do it for the children. Well, so you're teaching your children that it's okay to stay in a loveless or abusive situation so that they will accept subpar everywhere throughout their life, right? It doesn't just stop in your relationships, right? But your home is your temple. Is your temple sacred? Or is it polluted with toxins? Toxins aren't just biological warfare, right? Viruses, things like that. Toxins are people, parasites, yeah. Soulless humans, psychopaths, like they exist, and it's an epidemic right now, okay? So self-love does not look like staying in a relationship where you know is going nowhere and you've tried for 5, 10, 15, 20 years and you're just, you've done the count, that's not self-love. Look, and people think, well, if he just gets it, or, if I could just make him understand, or make her be nice to me, or make her listen, or make her... Dude, really? Self-love is not controlling someone else. Self-love is taking responsibility for yourself and your situation and your circumstances. You cannot change another, right? So, and when you love yourself, you love others, which also means what? You allow them to be who they are, right? But you decide as the lover of self, is this allowed in my sphere? Is this good for me? No. So you're not loving them and you're not loving yourself by trying to change them or by staying, right? Okay. That doesn't mean every single time someone, pisses you off, run for the hills. No, I'm assuming you have already, dude, if you've been there 20 years and all, then you've already, hopefully gone through the normal steps of communication and this doesn't feel good. Now what? Okay, that being said, let's move on. Self-love. What does self-love look like in your diet? Oh, don't judge me. I'm not judging you. Nope. And I know they're out there, but let me tell you. People say, like, oh, I can't juice because it's too expensive. I can't afford to juice. I can't afford to eat healthy. I can't afford organic. I can't afford whatever. Can you afford cancer? Can you afford $150 pills? Can you, right? So let's put this into perspective. And there's lots of recipes on my website, myteressence.weebly.com. There's videos here, playlist on the Christie Aphrodite YouTube. Just look at Cooking with Christie or Aphrodite's Kitchen or, I don't know, something like that. And even put up a recent juice one. But carrot, apple, lemon, ginger, basic, not expensive. And every store, well, unless you live in a small town like me and everything is like an arm and a leg, but when you go outside of the town, everything is on sale eventually, right? I got organic avocados for $1.50. Are they always $1.50? No, normally they're $3 or $4 a piece, and even the non-organic ones. So that's what I buy. I love pineapple. Can I afford to eat pineapple every day? No, but when they're frickin' 99 cents, which is maybe once a month or so, stock up. There's like ways to afford whatever. And if you love yourself, you're going to do that. Why? Because you feel better. You look better. You have more energy. What you put in, what comes in must come out, right? As within, so without. As above, so below. If you're treating your temple, your sacred temple, like a garbage can, how do you expect your sacred temple to treat you? So you can't say, oh, I don't want to be in this pain. That's why I'm doing this, yet not do something to actually nourish yourself. Because if you did love yourself, you would think of yourself, your body, your temple first. And I'm going to do a more extensive video on this, and I used to talk about this in shows, but let me tell you something. Healthy eating and shit ain't gonna frickin' extend your life, okay? That's not why I'm promoting it. You are not gonna live 1 second longer by, say, having whatever your vision is of the perfect diet. What it's going to do is keep that time while you're here healthy. You're going to die when it is your time, period. Okay? It doesn't matter if it's cancer, a car accident, lightning, a dog bite, whatever. Okay? You go when it's your time. But do you want to enjoy this time doing things you love? Or do you want to spend this time like my mom, say, dude, I took her to Hawaii 20 years ago, and I thought we were going on bike trips and snorkeling and hiking, and nope, she couldn't do anything. Everything revolved around food, no exercise, no outdoor, like even in Hawaii, dude, unless you're like sitting on a boat staring or something. But, okay, so regardless, self-love is nourishing yourself, nurturing yourself. That means you need to remove every single thing that's toxic. People, places, things, jobs. How many of you go to jobs you hate every day? Jobs that you've hated every day for 20 years. My mom hated her freaking job forever. I knew I'm never going to do that. I've had 800 jobs. Pretty close. But that's the Sag moon, so a little over-exaggeration, but yeah. I've had more jobs than anyone I know, a lot of jobs. I don't stay where I'm not happy or where I'm not wanted or whatever. So, all right. Self-love. How do you know if you're loving yourself? Ooh, that's a good question. Okay, well, I want to address this. People say that they use alcohol and drugs and horribly toxic relationships to self-medicate their pain. But I want to ask you this. And I swear to you, I see it every single day. I'm not going to get too specific, but I know people that drink and, they show up for work every day and they're like, I feel like shit. Hungover again. Dude, I used to drink and take pills. Yeah, at the same time. Not only did I black out like a retard, I freaking woke up not knowing what happened and feeling like shit for at least an entire day or 2 days. That was cool. But yeah, I'm not like talking shit or judging. I'm telling you, I did all of this. Don't do it. That's what I'm saying. So, so if you really are self-medicating and you don't love pain, you're trying to get out of pain by giving yourself a hangover every day, I just don't understand. That just, liver damage, I don't need to go down the list. Right? Drugs, the same thing, or people that and they end up with sores and scratching themselves. Those kinds of drugs and, I don't know, all the things people do. Including some people that stay in sexual relationships. Oh, well, I'm just getting mine off. And yeah, he's a dick. And yeah, he treats me like shit, but I like it. Well, if you loved yourself, would you allow someone that treats you like shit to implant their life force in one of your cavities? You think what? You just take a shower and it goes away? No. So, self-love, I'm not saying be celibate. I'm saying be mindful, and indiscriminate sex is not a sign of self-love. So, all right, how can you know if you're loving yourself? Now, everybody loves somebody, even narcissists and psychopaths do, right? They love their supply. And they will be kind and treat that supply like gold. That's the lure, the hook that brings you in, right? But I'm thinking of your children or your pets or your whatever, whoever it is you love, your grandma, your neighbor, whatever. When they're sick, well, I'll speak for me because I don't know. Not everybody's like that, I guess. But for me, when somebody I love is sick or ill or even when they're not, I want to feed them. okay? That's how I show love. But one of the ways, but also I want to take care of them. And we all know when we're sick and we don't want to get out of bed, it's hard to have a healthful meal, or if you're depressed or somebody just died or whatever. I know from loving myself that I need that self-nurturing nourishment, that rest or whatever, that sometimes does not always entail me getting up and cooking a meal, especially if self-love is part of grieving, right? And healing from some type of tragedy. So I know, wow, a fresh cooked meal would be freaking awesome. So that's what I would do for somebody, right? You cook them meals, or you'll draw them a bath, or you'll, you know, light some sage or incense or oils, or, you know, do something nice for them, take them somewhere or whatever. So if you are doing that for yourself the same way, like I've brought this up for years, what does religion say? Love your neighbor as yourself. But love yourself as your neighbor, because it's much easier to practice loving other people than it is to love ourselves. Even if we don't really exactly know what self-love is, because there are many levels, right? And it's all contingent based on the experiences that we have walked in our life, right? So if you've never you know, heard about the diet aspects or the drug aspects or this and that, then how would you really know? Although your intuition is always going to tell you. And when we're not listening to our intuition is when physical disease manifests. So how do you get better at listening to your intuition? Listen to your intuition more, and don't just listen to it, but actually do it, which is also part of self-love. And then that's going to love you back. And the best, really, well, there's so many wonderful things, but here's a really awesome thing about self-love. When you truly love yourself, you can never hurt anyone else, ever. You just can't, because you know that you have to live with it. And honestly, I believe that most people that actually hurt other people, all people that hurt people intentionally, are psychopaths. But then there's just regular people that hurt people unintentionally because we don't know for whatever reason. And oftentimes that's communication, right? We don't tell people, or they don't tell us. And, you know, oh, that person said this. Well, maybe there are a couple examples at work. Like, it's hard to hear with all the hoods and fans going. And, like, sometimes we don't hear each other properly. And sometimes, you know, like, if somebody doesn't hear me properly, I get barked at, and what? I said what? No. And then, you know, when we talk about it, we can laugh about it. But sometimes we don't talk about it because we're scared. You know what? I wanted to share a story with you, and I know I jump around a lot, but one of my first epiphanies in self-love, I believe I was 24 or 25. I can't remember exactly. I opened my restaurant at 23 years old, and I had a friend, a childhood friend that I grew up with. He came, well, he came to visit or whatever, and he was involved always, I think, ever since, whatever, drugs and alcohol, and drugs like, I don't know, meth or coke or, you know, the speedy ones that make you crazy and violent and stuff. So he, one day my hours at work, or my restaurant, when I first opened, it was like 6 a.m. to midnight. And then it went like 9 a.m. and then it was like 11 a.m. and then like 8 on weekends, or, you know, whatever. I shortened them eventually, 8 to 8. I remember, and it was 8 to 8. But maybe that was it. And it was 7 days a week, and I did deliveries, and every single thing was from scratch. And the one day I just wasn't feeling it, and I closed for like half a day. I put a sign on the door. I did deliveries by walking at Utah massage therapy. I was delivering them some cakes and stuff. I remember that. And I was sitting in the grass, and he was telling me, oh, you can't sit there. You look weird. People are going to, you know, come talk to you. And I'm looking around like, why can't I sit here, you know? And then, you know, it's like, oh, well, they're going to think you're up to something or whatever. But I didn't realize he was projecting his stuff. Okay, and I guess I probably didn't realize how messed up he was. But later on, we got back to my restaurant. I had built an apartment in the 400 square foot storage space. And so he, I guess at that point, was like totally passed out. Just like not in a good way. And, you know, of course I'm focused on him, right? And like, God, why do you always do that to yourself? What's wrong? You know, and I didn't say all that out loud because he was just like fucked up. He wouldn't have heard me anyways. But yeah, eventually, you know, I'm thinking all that to myself. And then eventually he's on the ground. I'm like, JD, yo, hey, are you awake? You okay? Yeah. So I looked at him. I'm like, why do you always do things that make yourself not feel good? He looked at me for a minute, thought about it, and it was a long minute too. And I saw the light, you know, go off in his eyes, and he said, you. That's you, Christie. You always do things to make yourself not feel good. Whoa, really? What? Yeah, because I really didn't know, but I asked, thank God, instead it just got mad. No, don't tell me I don't love myself, like Facebook groupies do. But, yeah, so then we started talking about the restaurant, and, you know, again, I'm a single mother, and 7 days a week, and this and that, and it wasn't feeding me anymore, but I was there. Why? Because the customers. Because where would they go? And my place was kind of like, well, if you're my age group, you remember the TV show Cheers and all the same people. When, you know, that was my place. There were candles and games and a TV. And, you know, it was just very cozy and comfortable. And people relied on it. I mean, I know they're not going to die. But at the same time, I kept going and doing, you know, overworking myself. And, you know, so that was my first epiphany. Or it wasn't really it was given to me. Of course, I had the choice to listen or not. But I was freaking like 23, 24. I mean, I've been working on this for a long time. And I went through lots of phases of it. And each time, like even when I was pill popping, I thought it was self-love, right? Because, well, I'm going to the gym. And I'm making my body like hot and awesome and so beautiful because because no one will love me if I'm not beautiful, right? Yeah, I think I talked about all that. I definitely talked about that in older videos. But yeah, so self-love. I'm going to ask you, man, if you love yourself, why are you staying in an abusive situation? Oh, you're afraid to be homeless. You're afraid to be like me, right? Which, I'm not homeless now, right? Let me tell you something. And that's one thing. When people, you'll ask them, and, oh, you don't understand. Don't be so insensitive. And, oh, you're so judgmental. Really? Tell me. You tell me why I chose homelessness for 4 fucking years. You tell me. And if you've been watching my videos, you know a large part of the drama that I went through during that time, yeah? Let me tell you something. All of that drama, the pain, the fear, all the emotions, the sabotage, the dehumanization, everything I went through in that homeless period was way better than knowing that I'm staying in a freaking abusive, limiting, soul-crushing situation that will forever suppress my creativity and keep me sick. and disabled, right? Oh no, but you love your MS and you're fine. Look, those are, I'm going to talk truth here. And this needs to be a whole separate video, and frickin' whatever, get mad all you want. But all of these diagnoses that I have had, and that maybe some of you have, I don't know, but fibro, I'll just say this, all degenerative and all autoimmune, and brain issues, including strokes. Do you know what these are from? Lack of self-love, for staying in limiting environments and not listening to our gut, not listening to our intuition, medicating it instead. Okay? So yeah, I get it. You have a long walk learning self-love, as did I. Been there, done that. Okay? But why? Look, if I had a choice to go through all the drama I just went through in the last 4 years, and including the brain infection without being able to talk and walk with no income, abandoned on the street, I would choose that again. Building a frickin' hay bale tent dome, 2 feet of snow in the mountains in winter, yeah, alone, living in the, yeah. I would choose that again over going back to an abusive situation. In a heartbeat. Don't believe me? Go back and watch my videos. How many times did I have a place and then run? Think about it. That's what self-love looks like. And yeah, it freaking hurts. Yeah, it's scary. Okay? But what you're doing hurts. What you're doing is scary, and especially if you're in an abusive relationship, because let me tell you something, no amount of counseling makes it gets better. Okay? Every single time you go back, that is a free pass for them to hurt you even more. And even if it's not physical, the emotional games, the psychological games, the gaslighting, dude, all of it. It only gets worse. Why does it get worse? It's like boiling a freaking frog. Or like I'm imagining the Star Wars movie and they're in the trash compactor and it's squeezing in on them. Or like making a diamond, right? And that coal is like, fuck, this hurts. Like, leave me alone. You know, you're getting pressurized. Are you going to freaking snap and take your power back and take the steps towards self-love? Or are you going to let it kill you? Are you going to give in? Look, because you have to live with yourself. It doesn't even matter what I say. Hate me for what I say all you want. But you have to live with yourself. You have to look at yourself in the mirror. You know when you are selling out. And when we stay in abusive relationships, jobs, situations, etc., we are selling out. Yeah, let's get real. That's exactly what it is, okay? I can paint it with the rainbow and put some whipped cream on it, but that's what it is. So that is why people choose pain. We like our pain. Why do we like our pain? Because we don't know what life is without it. Here's another story. I'm sure Casey will remember. So I went with them to I think it was an AA meeting, and everybody did their thing, and he's like, well, you don't have to talk if you don't want to, and when they do the circle, you could just pass, or, you know, whatever. I'm just like, I got this. You know, I'll just figure out what I'm supposed to say, or what feels right to say. So it came to me, and because, you know, they're like, hi, my name is blah, 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 and I'm an addict, blah, 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 which I'm maybe, hopefully you've heard me preach about that, and if you haven't, go check my video on addiction. But I think I may have even shared this in there, but I'll share it here because it's relevant for the topic. But it came to me and I'm like, hi, my name is Christie and I'm an addict. I'm addicted to a lot of things, and what I've really realized I'm addicted to is pain. Yep, self-hate, self-degradation. I said all those things and they're just like, you know, I'm like, everybody has their addictions. We're human. We're addicted to something and whatever. But I already knew that I loved my pain, or liked it at least. Why? I liked it more than the risk of leaving. I liked it more than the risk of whatever I didn't know, right? But yeah, I got to bring that up in an AA meeting because that's what it boils down to, is self-hate. We're all traumatized, I get it, but I hope, if anything, and maybe this is the first video that I've made that you've watched, and if it is, I'm sorry, that sucks, go back. But it's a crazy story. Like, I lived through shit people should not live through. And I don't know how and why, and there's probably 50 videos of me, like, crying, and I can't do this! Ah! Right? No, really, at least. You know. And I'm not going to erase them. Why? Because it's fact. So, if you've seen my videos, you're familiar with me, and what is going to be a fantastic book, if you get anything out of it, I want you to get that you can overcome anything. But you are not going to overcome it when you're settling. No, oh, I'll just settle for this because, you know, this guy will pay the bills. Dude, this is so hilarious. Like, women, and I know them, sorry if you're watching, but I've told you this to your face, but they believe that they have no power, just exactly like I used to believe, which, you know, why I love people like that, so I can show them, remind them that they do, which she did learn a little bit, but this one person, and she's not the only one, but, she was saying, oh yeah, I would never, I don't know how you make it, Christy, I'd never be able to do it if so-and-so didn't rescue me, and yeah, my sister sucks too, and, you know, this man is so great, he rescued her, and I'm just like, what the fuck are you, rescue? You love yourself so much that you are completely incapable of helping yourself, that you just have to lay down and wait for somebody to rescue you. Then these people end up in these relationships that aren't what, you know, healthy, loving. Yeah, you know, right? Been there. Who has not been in an unhealthy relationship? Let's get real. All of us, okay? So, again, that's why I'm the expert, because I did it all! I did everything wrong! Okay, so what else? Does any spirit have anything else to say about self-love? Yeah, self-love. So fear, why we don't love ourselves. Okay, so let's say you're super, super traumatized and you truly don't love yourself, right? How can we learn to love ourselves? Ooh. Well, let's look at ourselves and what we don't like. And I'm talking realistically. See, if you had asked me 25 or 30 years ago why I don't like myself, it'd be like, well, my butt's too big, and, you know, I have dimples on my ass, and, you know, like really dumb surface stuff, right? My face, yeah. But okay, so I don't like let's try something like normal and real and tangible. I don't like myself because I made a mistake with so-and-so. Okay, well, guess what? You move forward, you go communicate, and you apologize, okay? I don't like myself because I have no education, and because I have no education, I just can't seem to get a better job, or feel respected, or even respect myself. Whatever it is for you. Insert your words here. Well, what can you do? Go learn something. Oh, well, I can't afford it. So you're already on the computer watching internet. You can't afford some of those free educations, like with Coursera and the other ones, like free online stuff? Or what about YouTube? I know little chicks are learning to fix their cars watching YouTube videos. That's where I got the idea, okay? So, I mean, really, like, books, hello, pick one up. Are you taking care of yourself? Like, okay, yeah, this is the thing. So I talked a little bit about diet and nutrition and how you let others treat you, but are you nourishing yourself? Are you getting plenty of rest? Are you choosing, I mean, you know, sometimes we want to go watch that one guy in Bellingham and stay up all night, okay? But if I did that every night, I certainly wouldn't be loving myself because I wouldn't be spending any time with myself, right? So sometimes self-love is going to bed. Sometimes self-love is getting out of bed. So if you don't understand the difference, then put yourself in the other person's position, right? Uh-oh, what happened? The thing went off. Warning, unable. Oh, let's see. Okay, well, it's still recording. You just won't be able to... There's no flash. Okay, so put yourself in the other person's position. So let's see. I love my friend so much. What would I do for her? Which I talked about that. But when you're doing for yourself what you would do for that person, then you know you're loving yourself. When you're spending time on self-improvement instead of comparing yourself with others, because look, life is not a competition with for others. We all have our own unique